Hello, friends. This is Dave Phillips, the president and founder of Children's Hunger Fund. And I want to bring you another update on some of the ways that God has just graciously allowed Children's Hunger Fund to continue to do ministry in these challenging times. Our warehouses are still open, our distribution centers in Texas and California. God has allowed us to still function in this time, and we rejoice in that. And while all of us are sheltering at home, God's done some amazing things. Domestically, just in the few weeks that we've been closed as a country, God's allowed us to distribute close to 2 million pounds of fresh food, non-perishable food, and other items that are going directly to our churches and cities all across America. And those pastors are using those resources not only to meet physical needs, because it's the poor that have been hit the hardest through this crisis, those that have already been living in poverty and maybe living on a limited income, living paycheck to paycheck, and then losing their one source of income. God is now meeting them at their point of need. So we're meeting the physical needs, but most importantly, these pastors are also sharing the gospel message of Jesus Christ. And, internationally, it's been a little bit more challenging. We don't have the same opportunities that we've had in the past to resource churches. Our churches across the country, we're not able to gather. So the churches that have been filling food packs for us and resourcing us in other ways are not able to do that right now. Our warehouses aren't able to host our volunteers that assemble food packs week in and week out. But those challenges have been barriers that God is breaking down. Even though we're not able to ship sea containers right now because the ports are closed, and even though many of the pastors that we work with are just sharing incredible testimonies of how difficult it is in the slums and communities in which they serve. We may not understand this, but in those slums and villages, the sole source of food in those slums are the open markets. And in many countries, those open markets are shut down. And so the people have no access to food. And many of our pastors are concerned. They're sharing appeals to us that many of the families, particularly the poor children and the elderly, may starve through this crisis. But here's what God has done. Through the generosity of our donor base, God has allowed us to supply emergency grants to many of our Mercy Network pastors in the 24 countries that we serve around the world. Those grants have focused on emergency food. It's allowed these pastors to go and buy food and to package food packs in their country. It's allowed them to buy things like masks and disinfectant soap, the things that we most desperately need to stay healthy. God's allowing us to do that in some of the most challenging places around the world. So I want to thank you for your generosity. You're making that happen. And if you're in a position where God has resourced you, I would encourage you to give generously. And as you do, we'll do everything in our power to steward your gift well. But I also want to encourage you while you're at home, particularly for parents, if you're looking for things to do with your kids, we do have some great resources on our website. We have a great new video series that you can download a video every day. It's kind of like a missions moment, a little 3 to 5 minute video you can watch with your child, and it'll introduce you to a child that lives in poverty somewhere in America or around the world. Every day it's a different story. You learn about this child, and it's a great way to teach your child how we can respond biblically in this time of need, that we can also do something to serve others, and there is a service component to that as well. Your child can actually download and make their own little coin bank that we call a virtual coin pack. They can also download virtual quarters, and you can have your child do chores at home to earn quarters, because every quarter provides a meal for a child in need. And we've used this for a VBS program and other means where children all around the country have responded in a very generous way to care for the poor. It may surprise you to know over the last 4 summers, children around the world have collected quarters to allow us to supply 10 million meals to children in need. So our kids get it. This is a great way for you to educate them, to give them a chance to serve, but also an opportunity for them to think biblically about how God wants them to respond. And then lastly, I just encourage you to pray. Pray for our pastors around the world. Pray for your own pastor, for your own church family, your own church body. This is such an incredible opportunity for the church. It's an opportunity for all of us to meet people at their point of need, because so many people right now, their foundations have been shaken. They don't know where their security comes from. And what a great opportunity to tell them about the one true hope that we all have through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And as you're praying, I would just encourage you to lift up the pastors that are serving in the front lines. We're now receiving reports from some of the pastors that their families have been impacted by COVID-19. We've had spouses that have passed away, family members that have passed away, and some of these pastors have the illness themselves. Would you ask God to just heal them from this virus, to protect them, and to continue to give each of them a boldness to share the gospel in a time when the harvest is so ripe? We just are so grateful for you. We're thankful for your prayers. And may God continue to watch over you and protect you during this time. God bless you.